let's have a discussion about why you should not think outside the box. In fact, I want you to forget outside the box and instead think about rearranging the box that you have. So here's what happens with outside the box. And how many of us have been in that meeting where one of our leaders says to us, we need out of the box thinking to solve this problem, or we need out of the box ideas to move forward in changing times. I get the sentiment, but how do you feel when they say that? Or maybe you've been guilty of saying that because you need it from your team. You need them to innovate, to think differently, to be a little bit more disruptive. All really important sentiments, but that phrase outside the box doesn't actually get you there. Here's why. When we say outside the box to people, we're actually hindering our ability to innovate. We're actually shutting it down. A couple of things are going on. First of all, when someone says outside the box, the response I often get from people is, well, what do you mean? Where is outside the box? Where do I go? That's like totally blue skies. Do I have any criteria, any boundaries? What does that even mean? So oftentimes, when we tell people to think outside the box, we're actually creating confusion because they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. The second thing that happens is, and I know you've seen this on people's faces, their body language, how they react, the type of ideas you get, the type of incremental ideas that you get back. Here's what happens. The leader comes and says, we need outside the box thinking. And I'm over here thinking, yeah, but I have a box that I have to deal with. So why should I go outside the box? I can't possibly get that far outside the box because I'm going to have to come back to the box that I have right in front of me, my constraints, my resources, my opportunities, my competition, the things that are good, the things that aren't working, right? We all have boxes that we actually deal with. So when we tell people to think outside the box, there's this little voice in their heads that goes, nope, it's not going to work. We've got a box we have to deal with. Or maybe we get them to think totally disruptive. There's big innovation happening. We've got disruptive ideas that are going to move us into the future, but then they never go anywhere. Why? Well, because when we bring them back and try to match them up with the box that we have, we can't get that traction that we're looking for. Oftentimes I find teams and companies spend thousands of hours and hundreds of thousands of dollars and resources trying to come up with these breakthrough ideas that could even be great, but they never go anywhere because the people that then have to do the work are thinking, okay, that's way outside the box and I have a box that I have. Here's the thing, when we rearrange the box that we have room for incredible innovation. Let me tell you 3 quick stories to bring this to life and why you should think differently about how to get to those disruptive ideas. So when I was 14, I loved fashion. Now, just to date myself, it was the 80s, so the fashion wasn't good, but I had a lot of peg pants and off-the-shoulder sweaters. One day, one of my girlfriends was over borrowing some clothes, as 14-year-old girls tend to do, right? We all borrow each other's clothing. We never want what we spent all our money on. And by the way, I had a closet full of clothing. I loved the fashion. I worked all summer long and all the money I made, I went into buying clothes. So I had a closet full. So one day, Jill Shufflebaum was in my closet rummaging through, and she comes out with an off-the-shoulder sweater and some peg pants and some jelly shoes. And I thought in that moment, I feel like I could do something a little bit different with this. That was my first realization of the power of rearranging the box, because I turned to her and I said, that'll be $3. I started renting my clothes out. Now, for those of you 40 and under, I just want to point out, this was before Renta anything. This was before the internet. There I was with clothes, a behavior that we were doing, and a little bit of an ability to rearrange the box I had, to think differently. I had a rate card. It was $2 for pegged pants, $3 for the collared shirts, $4 for scrunchies because people lost them, and $5 for jelly shoes. But do you know where I made my most money? Late fees. It's incredible breakthrough innovation when we just rearrange what's right in front of us. I had clothing. I had friends coming over to borrow clothes. That's it. I didn't create something new. I didn't go outside the box. I rearranged the box that I had and found incredible innovation and money for Slurpees and movies that summer. The second story I just want to share is with the Greyhound bus. Now, many of us know the Greyhound bus. Many of us haven't actually ridden it in years, but I want to talk about where it was created or how it was created. There's incredible innovation in rearranging the box right there. They're two brothers up in, it was either North or South Dakota. And they own a car dealership. In fact, specifically hubmobiles. Now, back in the day, those were cars that had 7 passenger seats in them. So kind of think of them like a minivan meets a bus. And so every day, this was a big mining town. They'd watch the miners walk to and from work. So they thought, and from the mines. So they thought, of course, what a great place to sell this car, because these people need it, right? They're walking back and forth from work miles every single day. Well, every day the brothers would stand there and watch these people walk back and forth. The workers wanted nothing to do with it. They never stopped in, they never asked. So the two brothers were on the verge of bankruptcy. They had totally miscalculated the desire for this car. So there they are. They're about to close their doors where one brother says to the other brother, what, instead of selling the cars, what if we just rented the seats out? That's how Greyhound Bus was formed. They started renting seats to these miners to go to and from work, rearranging what was right in front of them. They had the cars, they had the people, they just had to think very differently about how to make that connection, rearranging the box. The third one I want to share is Dollar Shave Club. Now, if you don't know Dollar Shave Club, it's a subscription model for razors that get delivered to your doorstep versus going to the grocery store, buying the razor and the razor blade, and then you rebuy razor blades, right? You fill them up. That's how razors had been since the 1950s, razor blade model. You bought it and then you refilled it, right? That's how the big companies made their money. And by the way, there was a big billion dollar leader in this industry that hadn't changed things since the 1950s. And along comes Dollar Shave Club and offers up not a better razor, not a breakthrough razor. It doesn't have 10 blades and a titanium strip or a moisture strip or anything fancy. In fact, it's a basic razor. But here's what he did. He borrowed the concept of subscription model, which we were all used to. We did with our gyms, with Massage Envy, with our software. Like we're used to subscription in our lives. And all he did was bring that to the razor market. That's it. Rearranging the box that you have. Now, in rearranging that box in the razor blade market, he sold his company for $4 billion to Unilever. That's the power of rearranging the box you have. So the next time you're trying to get your team to think differently, to be disruptive, to venture into the future in a way that you know you need them to in uncertain and changing and very volatile times, right? We need that innovation. We need those breakthroughs. I would encourage you to think about, how do I get them to rearrange the box that we have so that we avoid this, where do I go, what do I do? We avoid people shutting down because they know they have a box they have to deal with. And we avoid ideas sitting on the shelf and never going anywhere because they don't actually match up with what our situation is today. Rearrange the box that you have. And if you need those tools, we have a ton of them in our online toolbox. I would just click above where it says get access and check it out. We have exercises and brainstorm and insight and inspiration and stories. All the good stuff is there. Rearrange the box that you have.